Well, we're doing pretty well here in this living room area. I mean, we could probably go ahead and clean this up a bit as well. I'll grab these and just drag them into the furniture group there. So we clean the hierarchy up just a little bit. But I think maybe I'd like to go ahead and begin working over here in the kitchen. And in this area, I want to create some cabinets, a stove, a fridge, maybe a sink over here. We had that reference image that we used at the beginning. Let's go back and take a look at that. Here it is right here. So I think I'd like to use this as the pattern for the kitchen. Stove and refrigerator on this side, sink on this side, and the cabinet configuration pretty much like this. However, I would like to use this image here as a reference for the actual cabinets. I really kind of want them to be pretty nasty like this, and that kind of faded, dirty Formica, and this is just pretty gross. And I don't know if I'm going to have this much junk up on the sink or up on the cabinets, but I am going to have some stuff. This is as I said, this is a place where people live where they're not real worried about housekeeping per se. So I think I'm going to go with this for the cabinets. For the floor here, I realize that I may also want some of that linoleum floor here in the kitchen, but I'll worry about that after I get the cabinets in and see how it looks. But yeah, I may want some of that really old, peeling, worn linoleum in here as well. But let's go back to Blender and begin working on blocking out the kitchen cabinets. So I've gone ahead and brought in these images over here in my UV image editors, just so I can keep them in mind as I build it out. The cabinets here are pretty much just cubes, and I think what I'll do is block them in first. I'll go ahead and just use cubes to get a basic sense of how big these things should be on the ground and up attached to the walls here. And I just want to try and get the size and proportion right before I begin detailing it. So let's try that. I'm going to grab this ceiling, and over here I can turn off the eye to take away the visibility of it. Now we could also just select it and hit H, and that would hide it as well. And when we want to bring it back, we just press Alt H. Or what we can do is come over and turn on the eye again. So with that out of the way, I'll hit the Z key so we can see in here. And let's take a look at just kind of blocking in some of the space. So if I come over here to the Create tab and click Cube, here we have a cube. I will go ahead and hit the 1 key and the 5 key and the Z key. And let's see if we can put these in place. Maybe I'll hit the 3 key so we can see. There we go. We can see the kitchen a little better. Let's bring this over here, shrink it down, and kind of get it in a position kind of like this. So I'm kind of working off of this right here. So maybe scale it in a bit. Get it right up against the wall there. Move it over a bit. And just try and scale it and get it the proper size. We could also bring up our quad view by pressing Control-Alt-Q, and that will bring up our view here where we can see everything, all views, the top, the front, and the right all at once. Alright, so over here I'll hit the 5 key to go back to perspective view over here. And let's see if we can just get this in place. Maybe something like this. And I'm letting it hover above the ground because there's that piece right down here that's kind of indented. I'm going to want to leave room for that. So maybe that's about the same height as the baseboard right there. Feels like it may be a little bit small. Let me tab into edit mode and just select that face on top and bring it up a little bit. All right, I'm going to then block in what would be the stove here. So let's duplicate this and move it in the X. And let's scale it up just a bit. It looks like it's a little bit taller. and a little bit wider. Let me grab this and move it over to the other side. Shift D, X, move it over there. And then let's try and place this here. And now the refrigerator. We've got some room here. This wall is a little bit longer, it looks like, than the one in the picture, and that's fine. I'm going to grab the stove and move it over and use this for the refrigerator. So let's just say that that refrigerator is a little bit wider, a little bit taller, right? Maybe something like that. And also it looks like it comes out even farther than the stove. We could push this back against the wall over here. And then we'd have a little more room for a counter over here. And let's see how this works here. All right, so we've got a little bit more counter space there. That should work okay. Now over here on this side, we're going to want, it looks like we have a pantry and that counter space there. And the pantry looks like it's at least as wide as the refrigerator. Let's grab this, move it over. And this looks like it could go up pretty much to the ceiling almost. And for this counter over here, I'll just grab this and move it straight over. Then grab that face over here and just move it all the way. There we go. So now how does that feel? What I'm going to do is press Control-Alt-Q, and I'm going to, in here, press Shift-F and Tab, and then I'm going to run around here and just see how this feels. So the refrigerator could be a little bit bigger. The countertops don't feel too bad. Yeah, so I think in terms of the scale of what's over here and coming into here, I think that feels all right. I think the countertops are going to be at the very top of this, so I'm not going to place the countertops on top of these cubes. I think the top of the cubes are going to be the top of the countertops. I think I have to make them that big. But other than that, I think that's pretty good. Let me try, I'm going to hit Escape. And let me block in those upper cabinets as well here. So let me just grab this and duplicate it, and let's move it up all the way to the ceiling. Where is the ceiling? Let's bring that back. Here. Okay. So let me just bring this up like that. All right, so if that's our ceiling, let me go ahead and hide that again. If that's our ceiling, now let's go ahead and scale this in the Y, because these are just quite a bit narrower than the bottom ones. Like that. Now we've got that part over the stove. Well, I'll go ahead and move that over. And let's take a look at it from an orthographic view. I'm going to press Control-1, and that should spin me around to that side, and then hit the 5 key. And now I can kind of get a sense of where I'm going with this. So if this is over the stove, grab that face and move it up. And it looks like if I duplicate it and move it over here, over the refrigerator, I better center the origin here, origin to geometry. And then I'll just pull that out and get it right above the refrigerator, and maybe that needs to be a little bit higher, like that. Now this, let's center the geometry there again, duplicate it, and let's move this over here and scale that down. All right, let's see how that worked now. Not sure if I got it all in the right place. Not too bad. So now we can take pretty much all of this here and take it over to the other side like that. And now we've got our area for the sink right here, right across from the stove. All right, so once again, I'm going to press Shift F and the Tab key, drop down to the ground, and let's run around in here and see what we think. Refrigerator, cabinets, stove, sink, pantry. It's not too bad. I think the scale of it is pretty good. All right, so in the next video, we'll begin detailing these, getting the countertops on, the drawers, the cabinet doors, the handles, things like that.